why zoos are beneficial. Everyone in the world knows what zoos are. They have those sometimes vague but sometimes focused memories from their childhood of running up and down the glass, looking at the strange and cool animals, relaxing in the sun or the shade. Everyone can remember sticking their faces flat against the glass to try and capture the attention of the magnificent beast. And now that they are older, most people understand that zoos are a business that attempt to gain customer support and attention so they can make money. But there is an important fact that needs to be clarified. Zoos are not just in it for the money. The initial responsibility that zoos first had was to take care of their sick and injured animals. The following paper will go over the 3 main points. The first point will be exploring some major criticisms of zoos. The next 2 points will be 2 major benefits that the zoos have for the world.
This following point will only account for the anti-zoo sentiments held by people who wish to boycott zoos. The points following this one will be points in favor of zoos. An article was written in March of 2017 on a website called The Odyssey Online. The authors of this article argue that animals should not be kept in cages. Keeping animals in cages goes directly against the freedom they once had or could have had roaming their natural habitat. By supporting zoos, people support the idea of keeping animals locked up in captivity. The article also talks about the health effects that being held in small spaces has on the animals. When presented with the counterpoint that zoos hold endangered species and help keep them alive, an article from One Green Planet argues that many animals kept in zoos are no longer species that are critically endangered or under threat.
The first point in favor of zoos is presented by an article written on The Guardian. The author starts off by stating that he knows that not all zoos are good places, and that there are some zoos that do badly mistreat animals, whether accidentally or on purpose. But he compares zoos to police officers. Well, there are some officers that misuse their power and become corrupted. That does not just mean we should not have anyone enforcing the law. The same can be said for zoos. Just because there are some zoos out there that wish to exploit these poor captive animals does not mean that we should shut down the zoos that provide real care for the animals, specifically endangered and or threatened animals. There are unfortunately many animal species that can be found on the endangered species list, and a majority of those animals can also be found in zoos. Keeping some of these animals in zoos prevents the possibility of their species being completely wiped from history by natural causes or evil poachers. In fact, there are many species that are classified as endangered in the wild, which would mean that there are no free-roaming members of that species anymore, and that the last members of their class are being protected in zoos. Zoos literally keep animals in history books. The next point will address the animals in zoos that are not found anywhere on the endangered species list.
Hello everyone, my name is AJ Kasmer, and I had the speaking portion of our group's presentation, so let's get into it. Members of anti-zoo leagues often argue that majority of species found in zoos are not found anywhere on the endangered species list, so zoos have no right to be keeping them captive in quote-unquote cages. However, many zoos employ wildlife rehabilitators whose jobs are to approach, hurt, injure, sick, and abandoned animals in the wildlife and bring them into zoos to receive care that they need. Brookfield Zoo, for example, is a zoo in the Chicago suburbs that can be used as an example for a zoo that provides wildlife rehabilitation for hurt animals. These specialized workers bring the hurt animals to a zoo and care for them, feeding them, cleaning them, providing them with all the essentials that they need, such as medicine and those types of things. All of these jobs are performed by hardworking staff that are paid by and from the zoo. Once the animal is healed and ready to return to the wild, the zoos choose to release them into a safe part of their original habitat, so it's not a tough transition for them. Zoos keep animals that are unable to return in the wild if it is a danger to their health. They also keep any animal that is born in the zoo, since they are unequipped to live in the wildlife.
In conclusion, zoos are beneficial in many ways. Those who boycott zoos do have a few points to support them, and there are many zoos out there that do not have the animals' best interests at heart. But why let those negative zoos shut down all the hard work that world-class zoos provide to ensure that their animals are safe and healthy?